Hi everybody, thanks for tuning into another video. What we're going to be looking at today is a potentially cheaper way of upgrading the storage on the new Xbox Series X console versus buying one of their expensive 1 terabyte or 512 gigabyte expansion cards. So their cards are obviously a lot faster than you're going to get from any external storage. They're connected directly using some velocity architecture that they refer to directly onto the motherboard, and you're going to get speeds that are close to NVMe speeds. In fact, it's custom, so you get NVMe drives, and the speed that they rate the drives at is, I think, 2.4 gigabits raw, or gigabytes, so 2.4 gigabytes per second raw transfer rates, and 4.8 gigabytes per second compressed. So definitely very impressive speeds, and it's a very nice looking small storage expansion card, but it costs a lot of money. So if you've got any spare SSDs lying around, I certainly have, there's no harm in plugging them into the USB 3.2 ports that are at the back of the console. I don't see what else you'd be using the port for other than potentially charging your controllers, which most of the time will probably be charged externally anyway, right? So using another charger or dock or something similar. So what I've got here is I've got a 1 terabyte SSD. Now, it's not an NVMe drive, so it's not the fastest drive in here, but it was spare and it's lying in my cupboard doing nothing, so I thought I'd try it out. It's an old Western Digital SATA spec SSD. So I'm going to just open it up just to show you the drive in there. And this drive is capable of around, I think, about 530 megabytes per second read-write or thereabouts. You're not going to get the speeds of the NVMe drives. And that's not a problem because this caddy that is rated at, this is a USB 3.1 spec, USB-C 3.1 specification enclosure. So that is going to give you maximum 10 gigabits per second connectivity. So you should expect a maximum transfer rate from a caddy like this of about 1 gigabyte per second. So definitely slower than the Xbox, but this drive itself isn't capable of those speeds anyway. So you can see the drive there, the Western Digital drive, 1 terabyte, and it's a SATA SSD. So it's not an NVMe drive, it's a SATA SSD. That's the key difference here. Now, if you are looking for a bit more performance from an external drive, you could buy an enclosure like this. This is an actual NVMe enclosure, but I haven't got any spare drive to put in here, unfortunately. I've taken the drives out now. But what you'll see is there's a significant difference in the actual interface there. So this interface there, which has got a single pin there in between the actual connectors, is different to this one, which if you look carefully here, what you've got there is you've actually got 2 breaks in the actual connector. So there's different types of drives and connectors and enclosures for them. So just be aware of when you're buying them that they are going to be compatible. So the drive is going to be compatible with your enclosure. As I said, this is an NVMe SSD enclosure. This will take drives like the Samsung 970 EVO, for example, or some other SSDs. It's in fact one of the drives I actually had in here. This is also a USB 3.1, USB-C 3.1 spec port. So this enclosure is also capable of a maximum speed of only 1 gigabyte per second, so 10 gigabits per second. So we're just going to put that aside. The one we're going to be looking at is this one here. So I'm going to close this back up, and what we'll do is we'll go over to the PC. We'll do a benchmark on the drive on the PC just to see what sort of speeds we're getting. And then what we'll do is we'll plug it into the Xbox Series X console. You may or may not have seen, but I did receive a console yesterday from Amazon, and I did do an unboxing video of it. It is available on the channel. If you haven't seen that, you're more than welcome to go and see that. What I'm going to be looking at here is just plugging this drive in, since it's lying in the cupboard doing nothing, and using it as secondary storage for the console. Maybe I want to install some games that I've pre-purchased from the online store, so I can download them and store them on here. Smaller games, no mainstream games that aren't too large, that aren't going to be choked by only 500 megabytes per second of transfer speed. So let's go ahead to the PC and let's do some benchmarks. Right, so we've got the drive connected to a PC. I've got the task manager up, so you can see the drive here. The disk letter in this case is the K drive, and you can see it's connected via USB. It's connected to a USB 3.2 Gen 2 port, which should be the same specification as the USB ports on the back of the Xbox Series X. The point to note here is the enclosure I showed you just before this is not capable of the speeds that the USB 3.2 Gen 2 ports are capable of anyway, so it definitely shouldn't be a bottleneck. The bottleneck will most certainly be the drive in the enclosure, which is the slowest component in this setup. When you're considering buying external storage, definitely look for enclosures that support maybe 10 or 20 gigabits per second throughput, and also connecting them to a USB 3.2 Gen 2 port with a drive that's capable of maybe 2000 megabytes per second plus. Transfer rates will definitely give you maximum benefit when connecting to the Xbox Series X. So without much further ado, let's do a quick speed test on this drive just to see what we can expect in terms of total transfer speeds. So we're running with a total length of 2 gigabytes. This means that the test file we're going to be creating here to test the speed of the disk is going to be 2 gigabytes in size, and we're going to run various transfer sizes. The range is going to go from 0.5 kilobytes to 8,000 kilobytes, or 8192, which is 8 megabytes. We're just going to start that test now, and I think we can achieve or expect to achieve an absolute maximum of maybe 400 to 500 megabytes per second with this particular drive. As I explained earlier, it's not a NVMe M.2 SSD that's capable of fast speeds. It's just a standard SATA SSD, and it's rated, I think, maximum 500 odd megabytes per second read and write. So once this test is completed, we'll know what we can achieve in terms of maximum throughput, and then we'll go ahead and connect it to the back of the Xbox Series X on one of the two USB-A ports, and we'll do some tests by transferring one of the games I have installed, which is Assassin's Creed, and we'll copy that over to the USB drive, and maybe we'll do some load time testing as well. So I'll load the game when it's fully exited, whilst it's on the actual main internal drive first, and then we'll copy it across to this SSD and see how long the transfer takes. And once that's done, we'll also do another load test running the game directly from this SSD and see if there's any major or significant difference in load times, and ultimately try to understand whether or not it's worth trying to use any spare SSDs you have lying around for external storage, and maybe if they make a cheaper alternative as compared to the expansion card for the Xbox Series X, which, even though it's a very fast card, is quite costly at 230 or 220 pounds, which is what it seems to be retailing for. So I'm just going to let this test complete. You can see the test on the right hand side running. We're achieving read speed so far of about 430, 440 megabytes per second, and write speeds respectable 380 odd megabytes per second. And I think what we're going to see here now, based on this trend, is this is pretty much going to hit a plateau. So we're not going to see this going much faster than it is going at the moment. We will let the test complete in any case, just so we've got a full set of metrics, and then we'll go ahead and connect this to the Xbox Series X. So as you can see there now, there's not much variation in the transfer speeds now as we're reaching the maximum. I think we're on the last test now, and the test is completed. So the last test was 8 megabyte chunks to write 2 gigabytes, and we've completed. So we're expecting about 380 megabytes per second write speeds. The read speed is about 440 meg per second. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead now and plug this in the back of the Xbox Series X, and we'll do some testing. Right, so I've got the drive connected now to one of the rare USB-A ports on the Xbox Series X console, and as you can see, the first thing that pops up is a prompt asking if you want to use the media for games and apps. So I haven't formatted this drive yet. I wanted to show you the process right from the beginning. I'm going to do format source storage device. There's absolutely nothing on there that I'm going to lose anyway. I can give it a name, so I'll just give it a name of external 1TB ext, just so I know it's the external drive, and then 1T. Right, okay, so we've got that done. Install new things here. So let's do this. So I'm going to say keep current location. This is going to keep the default location to the main drive for now, and we'll do that for now. That's not a problem for us. Once it's formatted, I'm going to transfer a game from the internal storage drive. So you can see the internal drive there, 744.8 gigabytes free of 802.8 gigabytes. And I think I've got 2 games installed on there. I've got Assassin's Creed Valhalla and one other game installed on there, which I can't even remember what it is now. But I'm going to transfer one of the games to this external storage device, and we'll time to see how long it takes. What we're going to do is we'll also try and attempt to launch the game from the internal storage first before copying it over and then launching it again from the external storage, just to get an idea of how much difference there is for load times. So that drive's formatted now. As you can see there, it's formatted. There's absolutely nothing on there at the moment, which is great. So as expected, I'm going to exit this game now. If it's not already exited, I think it's going to quick launch the game. So I'm going to just fire it up, and then I'm actually going to go ahead and completely exit the game. So I know I'm getting a cold start. So let's go ahead and exit this game completely if we can. Now, how do I go? I want to completely close the game. So I'm going to quit the game completely. Now that game is completely quit now, so there's nothing running. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start the game now. The way we're going to time this is just using a stopwatch here on my watch maybe, or and at the same time I press start. No, that's not going to work very well at all. Let's not do that. Let's just go with the timer that's actually coming up on the video, so you'll have a rough idea watching the seconds ticking by on how long it takes. What I will do is I will start the timer on my wristwatch anyway. You just won't be able to see it. You'll have to take my word for it as to how long it's taken. So I'm going to start that now. And the game is launching. So we're 3, 4, 5 seconds in. The time is ticking away. We're going to see if we can get right to the actual game itself. So just as the game starts. So at the moment we're at about 15 seconds, if you can see there. Let that keep going. We'll let it keep going. We'll get a few seconds in. 25 seconds now. And we'll keep going. And right here, we're at 35 seconds, so we'll keep going. Checking for add-ons. Let's do this bit. And maybe later. Okay. Okay, we'll stop there. So that is 49 seconds to get there. Just to this screen. 49 seconds, let's remember that. And then maybe we'll also see how many seconds it takes to actually start up the game, right? So I'm going to reset my account. You won't be able to see it, but we'll just click on continue. We're going to see how long it takes to actually start up the game from the menu. So 3, 2, 1, go. So this is just while the game's loading, you're in this sort of a memory mode. And the game is starting now. So that's 13 seconds. 14 seconds. That's say 14 seconds exactly. 14.45 seconds. Now what we're going to do is we're going to exit the game. So we'll quit it completely. And we'll go to actually move this game to the external drive now. So let's go to settings. Let's go to backup and transfer. No, maybe not there. We'll go to storage, system storage. We'll go to internal storage, view contents, and what we're going to do is we're going to try and move this game to another drive. So let's see if we can actually move it. Move or copy. I'm going to move this to transfer to the external drive. So that's it. That's what it's going to do. We'll do select all, and we'll do a move. So let's see how long it takes to transfer. So I'm going to reset the timer on my watch. I'm just going to start it moving now. 3, 2, 1, go. So that's moving now, and I think it's going to take some time maybe. It's not showing us the transfer speed, but from what you can see there, actually, it's not too bad a transfer rate. It's transferring at a very, very respectable rate. So we're going through at about coming up to 20 seconds now, and we've done 13%. You can see the timer there now completes in a couple of minutes. So I'll leave this running, and just as it gets to the end, I will resume the video. So we're at the last 15 odd seconds of this transfer. Now the timer on my watch tells me we're coming up to 3.5 minutes. So we're at 3 minutes and 30 seconds now, and it's exactly 35 seconds. So 3 minutes and 35 seconds to transfer that game to the external storage, which is quite respectable. Now what you've got to bear in mind is when you're downloading these games or installing them from the disk onto your storage, your download speed is definitely not going to be faster than 200 meg for sure anyway. So, or even 100 meg if you've got a 1 gig broadband connection. So 100 megabytes a second is what you're going to download at the most. So your drive is definitely not going to be the bottleneck. So that's copied across to the external storage now. Let's just go and have a look at that quickly. So if I go to storage again, I can see that there's something there now, and that most certainly is going to be Assassin's Creed. So now if I go ahead and launch the game again, we'll do another quick test just to see how fast that performs. So it took 49 seconds to get onto the menu screen before. So we're just going to start that test now. 3, 2, 1, go. Oh, sorry, that didn't work. Sorry, this game cannot be played from external storage. Well, there you have it. I think that kind of concludes the test. So you can't play from external storage. You need to transfer it to a storage expansion card or the console's internal storage. So I'm guessing this is something that Microsoft have done deliberately to make sure that you buy their storage expansion cards, costly option to expand storage on the console. And that's a shame because, to be honest, the games are going to be using 50, 60 gig a pop anyway. So how many games are you going to get on there before you find yourself deleting and uninstalling and reinstalling stuff? That's a bit annoying, but anyway, there we go. Hopefully that's answered a question for you. It's definitely answered a question for me, which is I can't play this game off of the external storage. What I am going to do is I am actually going to transfer a downloaded game, Burnout Paradise, to the external storage, and we'll just make sure that that works. From a loading time perspective, I've started this game up. And you can see it's loading. I didn't time it, but you'll be able to tell on the bottom how long it's taken using the video timer. But a few seconds in, and the game has loaded, definitely around 30 seconds or so now. So what we'll do is we'll just let it get to the menu screen and exit this quickly, and then so we're there. That's the menu screen. So I'm just going to exit this now and quickly transfer this to the external storage, and then we'll do a test to see if it actually works. So at least downloaded content can be played off of the external storage. Otherwise, what's the point, right? Other than storing media and pictures and stuff there. So I'm going to move this to my external storage. That's moving now. As you can see, it's only 8 gig. That's going to transfer very fast across, and then we'll do a very, very quick test to make sure we can launch it, or to find out whether or not we can launch it. If we can't, then you have your answer straight away as to whether or not this is worth doing, and I think the answer is going to be no. We just start saving for those costly expansion cards. Right, so that's transferred. I'm just going to go to the menu screen and see if I can launch that. Right, that works. So it's gone in very quickly again. This is launching directly off the external storage. So it looks like the main game that I installed from Blu-ray, which was Assassin's Creed Valhalla, that was not a downloaded title. I could not play from this external storage device, but a downloaded game from my library has worked absolutely fine. And I'll be honest, I'm going to be interested to look at the timers myself at the bottom once I've recorded the video. But that to me looks like it launched in exactly the same sort of time as it was launching from the internal storage. So there you have it. I think if you've got a SSD lying around that you're not using for anything else, definitely worth connecting to the external storage ports on the Xbox and get yourself some cheap storage, right? Rather than paying £230 for a terabyte, you can buy a few components off of Amazon and you can achieve 1 terabyte storage for under £150, and it's not going to give you that much slower performance that you're actually going to notice. Thanks very much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please leave a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you can be notified of upcoming videos. Thank you very much. Take care and all the best.